because we have this thing in our head that, oh, the people who face domestic violence are the women who are less educated. They don't have no job.
No, that is a myth.
And this does not support that.
Right. Something that we have in our heads all along to say, okay, then it is the women who are less educated or the least educated are ones who are getting the buff, bath, buff. But clearly that's not the case in this. Well, the women who are being abused in Jamaica are younger women from 18 to about 33. That's one younger woman, 2 rural women, and 3 educated. Those are educated. Those with at least been a part of a university and even after completed university education. So they are the ones who are being beaten.
Looking at tertiary level trained
women. And that is sad. A woman can actually reach this point in her life, now thinking that, listen, I'm now independent, and she is the one being abused.
Yeah, but I mean,
what we did not look at though is to say who are the perpetrators. Are they the educated men or are they the uneducated men? That would be another study, but we didn't do that.
Yeah, but what you're saying is interesting, Mr. Bourne, because even what your study has done is change the way we look at, I'm going to say, victimology, because for too often we have had women who are tertiary trained who are abused, but they don't want to speak up because they feel like I'm the odd one out. Them say people not normally abuse independent women. So if me independent and me I get abused, I must something wrong with me. And so
and that is a part of the reason.
That discussion.
And that's a part of the reason. I remember as a proud boy of UWI, Taylor Roll, I have seen women being abused on Taylor.
Yes.
I'm not talking about it, I've heard about it, I've seen it with my eyes. And some of these women were those who were in med-sci, law. I see them being abused, being boxed and kicked, and I'm really wondering what is going on. But at the same time, the women who are not those in terms of the affluent or the status-driven individuals were not the ones who were being abused. So I've seen that in my life as well. And when you look now at what is happening here, know what is going on. A number of the women who are educated, because of the stigma associated with the uneducated are the depressed, those who are being abused. When women who are abused at this level, they're going to be afraid to say it all, because they will be looked at as having failed society, having failed the system. So they'll rather keep silent. And that's why only 40% of them are willing to come forward and say, this is what is happening to me.
Because there is no sympathy. They feel like they're going to be judged, because people will say, then a woman like you have your degree. You really can't beat you. No. So I'm glad. I'm glad that we are sharing this information so that the women who are career driven, the women who are accomplished, who are facing domestic violence, can come out and say, I am a victim, because we have to stop looking so much on the victim and begin to put the spotlight on the perpetrators.
Absolutely.
Man will beat woman of all demographic, age, stage, complexion,
absolutely,
degree, non-degree, and we have to start.
And they're getting away with it.
Correct.
And they're getting away with it. We need to put the spotlight on them.
Correct.
So other career women need to actually become sympathetic. If you hear a woman has been beaten and she's educated, you just ought to be saying, come forward, man. Let's see how we can actually deal with this one. Call his name. Let's actually get to the bottom of this. And not, but you should have known better. It should not be that you should have known better. But what about the perpetrator? He gets away because he's X or his Y? No, it should not be like that.
Yes. But you have an interesting thing that you discovered in the ways in which the women were almost finding reasons why the abuse was
and that is a part I found to be strange. Why are you explaining what these guys are doing? So we asked them, what do you think the reason for this? Almost 60% of them, 58%, said that, listen, the harsh economic climate is actually causing him to what? Do what he's doing. No, that is sad. That is real sad. And then stress is only 34%.
Mm.
So how can you explain to say, okay, then yes, he has lost his job or things are difficult for him. Why is abusing me physically, emotionally, and otherwise? It means that women do not see themselves, they don't see themselves as worth. But what is happening, I think a part of it is that they are just downright fearful what society will say about them. So they're trying to explain it.
You know, Mr. Bourne, the dynamics of domestic violence and I'm glad you did this study because there's so much more that we need to do. But at the end of the day, if this is my boyfriend who shows me love and care for the most part, and then there's an act of violence, I am probably going to want to rationalize it myself.
But that is where the problem begins.
I'm not agreeing with it. But
that's where the problem is.
Sometimes it's not even just fair, but sometimes it's, there must be something great about this person. He wouldn't hit me. He wouldn't hit me. So trying to rationalize it and we gotta try.
Women need to start looking at what exactly love is. Is love beating? Right. Is love abusing you? Is that love?
Right.
So because there are persons who say, okay, then he does it only one time. But here we're now seeing that it's happening frequently in Jamaica. 40% of the cases are frequently done. So no longer can a woman say, listen, it's only one time. It's now 4 more times than before.
Yeah.
And that must be taken into consideration now. So the fact it's a repeat case, it must be brought before the public and he ought to be embarrassed and brought to court or wherever he needs to be taken to. But it can't be, let's forgive him, let's go back to bed, let's actually get things normal.
Right.
Love can't be beating you every day.
Right. Well, I mean, as we continue this series and the countdown, we're going to be talking to some, interesting people. Alexander Williams, who's an attorney at law, is going to be sharing with us just some of the ways the laws are in place to protect gender-based violence survivors and victims, because I feel like that's something too people don't know, just how they can protect themselves. And we're going to be talking to the police as well. In your study, and it's 18, and I know the age range, do you find what is the most common age group that you'll find instances of gender-based violence? Because I want to know if it is that because they may not be vulnerable because of academics, but they may be vulnerable because of age. It may be the younger girls as opposed to
rightfully, you have it nail on the head. You have it nail on the head. 61% of those persons who are being abused are 18 to 25 years old. 65. 29%, 26 to 33. 8%, 31 to 41. 2%, those who are older than 42 years old. So it is really a young person. So I realize that those are persons in their adolescent year, young adulthood. So those are the ones. So even though they might be at university or would have completed university, they are still vulnerable because a number of the men are aware that they don't really understand life yet.
And listen, there are some truths we have to face. I mean, you're talking about your days on campus, and that's something we really have to talk about. How is gender-based violence addressed in schools?
Absolutely.
At the tertiary level and
absolutely.
At the secondary level, because it happens at that level. And so these are young ladies that even, and I don't know if you had a demographic of partner age, whether
we did not do that.
Whether it's happening among the same age group, or are you finding that they're older partners who are saying to these young ladies, yes, you have your education, but let me help you with a car, let me help you with a deposit on a home. And so the transactional nature of the relationship is what opens it up to the violence.
And that may be a good point for us to actually do another study on.
Yes.
But something clearly is going on where people are clearly rationalizing all that. And we need to understand as academics and persons who are in certain positions, that not because you are educated, it means that you understand and have all the resources that you are at your disposal. So a number of the men, they are fully aware of this, and they're exploiting this.
Mm-hmm. There was something also that concerned me from the study, and we're going to be talking to Sharon Robinson as well from the ministry in terms of all of the initiatives that the ministry has put in place, because there's a feeling, and I know the ministry has been trying, but I don't know if the word is getting out. From your study, there's a feeling that because of COVID-19, access to essential services for victims was not as it should be.
Yes, it is. We found that is lacking. And I presume as a result of COVID-19, the emphasis is really on the disease itself. But we need to look at the other things that are emerging as well from research, and sort of broaden our scope and not be all sort of single focused.
Yeah, because, you know, in terms of the essential services, that is what I realized.
Yeah, extremely important to persons, especially those persons who really want the assistance.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it should not be such that. But I think where Jamaica is, and I'm in retrospect looking at my life outside of the study, I remember at one point we were sort of more concerned about people. We have somewhat seem to have lost that. You know what I mean? Where an Indian will actually pick up for you irrespective of who you are, the fact that you're a Jamaican, you will be important and you're guided and protected. It's not so anymore. I'm not sure how we're going to get back there, but we need to begin to look at some of the stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. We are really separated and segregated now. We're now at the point where people are talking about those who are vaccinated versus those who are not vaccinated, and we're having a big discussion as to I don't like you, I don't. We should not have that society. We should be Jamaicans. Yeah, really Jamaicans.
Well, listen, I'm telling you, every time I look at the study, because we raised the educational level and we saw where most of the victims were tertiary trained, some had vocational training, at the minimum, they were secondary trained. So the education level was not something, but also the employment status was something that I found interesting, that most of the women were employed or self-employed.
Yeah, but what does that say to you? Remember now that COVID means that you're working from home, right?
Yeah.
So maybe if these women were actually out, they wouldn't be abused as much as they are. Because they would actually see the partner maybe only in the night or sometime, but no, we are seeing him more often.
Yeah.
And that could be an issue what is happening inside the COVID pandemic period.
Yeah. And I'll say this to say to the listeners and the viewers that the survey showed that over 60% of the women felt that COVID-19 was what was changing the nature of the relationship and making it more violent. So when you hear Mr. Bourne say, you know, because they're at home, it's a reasonable inference to make based on what they have said. So working women, most of them, again, changing the victimology of gender-based violence. So we don't think it's just some unemployed woman. We're just not the education, just sit down and just and let me say, it don't matter if she is unemployed and what her education level is. I'm not justifying gender-based violence at any level, but I'm just saying we have to now rethink the way we say this is why this person is and that is why.
Absolutely. So no longer should we actually be targeting the inner city area, say, okay, then we expect the woman to be down there. That's clearly not the case. Remember, we are saying there are rural women, educated women, employed women, young women. Yeah. So that is the profile of the individuals that are being abused in Jamaica. So do not actually go to the inner city areas looking for women who are abused when they are not there.
Wow. Well, they might be there, but at the very least, that's not the only place where it exists.
Yeah. Only 40% of them are there. Most of them are not there.
Most of them are not there. Most of them are not there.
Yeah.
Leads me to a lot of questions. Mr. Bourne, I'll send a list because I'm interested in further study, you know.
And NCU is willing to assist in whatever way we can, because we really believe that where Jamaica is now, we need to be doing research, so we are fully aware of things, so we can make informed decisions. No longer should we be guessing where we should go, but we should know where we should go.
You know, and I have to say kudos to NCU because I feel like when people hear academic research, they think it's just something that you're going to put in a file jacket and store away. But most of the research that's done in Jamaica is extremely useful to how we address social problems. And we just need to pull on it, discuss it as we are now, and try to find some solutions. I so many more questions, as research does, as it answers.
Yeah.
Many more questions. But congrats to the team for the findings, and thank you for putting the spotlight on gender-based violence. I look forward to much more work out of NCU.
And thank you very much. You know, we are willing to assist in whatever way we can.
All right, thank you so much, Paul Bourne, for speaking with us. And just a reminder to everyone, the 16 Days of Activism runs from November 25, the International Day of the Elimination of Violence Against Women and Girls, up until December 10, which is International Human Rights Day. And I'm encouraging every single Jamaican, if I even one thing that you do for the 16 days, help with to eliminate violence against women and girls.